Hello and welcome to Something Up My Sleeve, the talk show that asks magicians what's something up your sleeve. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for the last almost 2 years of support. This being Thanksgiving week, I do want to give thanks to, first of all of our listeners, viewers, whether you're seeing this live, whether you're watching this later, whether you're listening on a podcast. It's because of you that we're doing this, and we want to thank you for your support and for your interest in the art of magic. This is a behind the scenes talk of magic where we talk to magicians all over the world. And the next thanks I want to give is to the guys that helped me get this started and kind of had belief in me and wanted me to kick this off. And I can't believe that we've been going for almost 2 years now. Three of our past presidents of the International Brotherhood of Magicians, who are our sponsors, by the way, um, Billy Shui, Alex Seaman, and Sean Farquhar were the ones that said, "Hey, Michael, I think you should host this show." And I was like, "Are you sure?" They're like, "No, we think you can do it, and nobody else wants to, so it's your job now." No, I'm kidding. They showed so much belief in me, and I had no idea how much fun I would have. So thank you so much for that, and for all of you that are supporting this, and thank you to the IBM for being behind this, and we are loving being the online presence of the art of magic. So we're going to kick this off now. I'm going to show you a video, but I want to preface it by saying I've had the opportunity to bring to you a lot of the faces that you may recognize from events that go on throughout the year, from the IBM convention, magic lectures. And then I realized that I also have the ability to bring you some faces you may not even recognize, people that may not be as well known in the world of magic. We have a very unique industry. If I said to you, name a successful actor who's not famous, you may have trouble doing that. But a lot of magicians who figure out how to actually make a living doing magic are out there working. They're hustling, they're working. So you may not see them in the room at a lot of the events that we have going on. They may not be as known in the magic world. But thanks to situations like this, and thankfully, since I happen to be friends with a lot of really cool magicians from all over the place, and especially ones that have performed in New Orleans, my home base, I get to bring to you some fresh faces and introduce you to some good friends. And this next guy is not only extremely talented, he's a very good friend of mine, Alexander the Magician. Let's kick it off with his video now.
My name is Alexander, and this is my job! Catherine, do you have a good imagination? Say yes. Do you know what this is? An imaginary deck of cards. Ooh. Yeah, right. Catherine, take the deck. Don't drop it, we'll never find it. Catherine, shuffle the deck. Shuffle it. Perfect technique. That was actually really good. Last week I told a kid to shuffle the deck, he went. Yeah, I wish that was a joke. Catherine, pick a card, any card. Take one out. Show it around to everybody. Slowly, so you can go on medication. Let's be honest, Catherine. Let's be honest. A lot of these people cannot see that card. No imagination. You got to help them out. You're going to have to tell them which card it is. Okay, so take a good close look at it. It's not the ace of spades because that's too obvious, but it can be any other random card. Catherine, what card is that? The three of hearts. That's there. Yeah. Catherine, place the three of hearts back. That cut. Put it over. It's facing the wrong way. It makes it easier to find. This is all going to make sense in a second. Catherine, you stand right here. Hold the deck in the air. Because in a moment, you are going to make those cards real using a magic word. You know any magic words? You know it. Come on. Abra. That's perfect. First, put the deck back in the box. Excellent. You all see that? In a moment, Catherine will abracadabra. The cards will become real. You will all go crazy. And then, together, we will find out what happened to Joe's $5 bill. Catherine, whenever you're ready. Abracadabra. That was okay. That was okay. You need to really believe that you are doing magic right now. Use your hands. Use your energy. Go. Better. But I want to see what happens if you turn it up to 110% magic. Go.
Abracadabra.
Third time's a charm. I'm pretty sure it worked.
Oh.
But wait, you're right not to clap. This could be, ladies and gentlemen, this could be any deck. We don't know this is Catherine's deck unless what?
Trio cards.
Unless the only card turned over were the what?
Trio cards. Oh my.
Wow.
He's performed over 12 countries with the hardest medium we have, which is street magic, and also performs in the corporate world as well. So please welcome to the show my friend Alexander the Magician. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Michael. Nice to see you.
And happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving, sir.
So there is a
thankful.
reason I chose that video, but before we get into that awesome routine, before we get into what you're doing now, your history, I have to ask you the question that I ask all my guests based on the title of the show, and that is, what is something up your sleeve?
Is this just a generic, I can talk about whatever I want, or you actually want to know if there's stuff in my sleeve?
Well,
of course,
if there is, oh,
nice.
I'm
a coin guy, so I can put or pull. It's up to you.
Oh, wow.
We can do this all day, buddy.
Nice, yeah. And I think that's the main magic that muggles want to see. That's the only thing they're really interested in is, can you make money up here? If we truly have magic powers, what you're doing now is exactly what people would spend all day doing.
Right. Well, it has to go in reverse. That's the thing they don't tell you in magic school. You can make the coins appear, but then you have to make them disappear after a certain amount of time, or the fabric of space-time will bend. Of course, that would win. Up my sleeve. But again, you have to get rid of them all. So
I was changing the. Oh, I probably. Yeah, nice. Oh, that's a little more visual now. There you go.
Yeah, love now that. You can see it, huh? Where are these coins coming from, man?
I have no idea. Beautiful. And
can you hear me all right? Am I doing okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I can hear you. You look great.
My sleeves are empty now.
I'm still not used to. I'm used to seeing you when you were in New Orleans on the street, and you were kind of known for your hair. So it's still kind of freaking me out to see you like this, because you look a little different. Oh my gosh! Now, see, that to me is a trick. Like, where did your hair go?
Dude, I still have habits. I'll still get out of the shower and go to wring it out and be like,
oh, really?
I don't have to.
Yeah,
there's still some lingering effect. Like, I'll push it out of my way, but I just finally asked myself the question: what's my hair really done for me? I didn't know I was known for my hair, but.
Well, no, I mean, to me, just because I loved your hair. So to me, it was like I admired your beautiful long hair, and I'm a hair guy. I'm always checking my hair. So
you are a hair guy. You were foxing it these days. Quite well,
yeah, I don't know where that term came from. I would rather be a wolf. So I'm always telling people silver wolf sounds cool.
Make it happen.
So a lot of people believe, like back in the Bible days, that the hair was the secret to magic, but obviously yours wasn't because you chopped yours off and
Yeah,
you still can pull coins out of your sleeve.
I
So
I maintain all of my dark powers, even though I went smooth.
actually, that reminds me of something I want to ask you about. I told part of this story on one of these before. I forget which
Okay.
one it was, but I was doing the talk show and I brought up a story that you told me, and I hope that you remember. And it was about when magic moments just happen, when things just happen to you unexpected, and you just take credit for it and
Yes,
become even a stronger
those are my
magician. Do you remember
favorites.
this moment I was talking about that you told me it was one of the best?
Was it
When you
the storm?
Yes, yes, yes. Please,
That's
please
my
share.
best version of that story. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
This was. I suppose if part of this is talking about our history as magicians, when I started out as a kid and then going into kind of doing magic while I was in college, I was the corporate guy doing restaurants, doing private parties, doing what's the word? Country clubs. That's the word. Country clubs. Lots of those.
Oh, okay.
And I was doing one of those gigs. I believe it was a country club, and beautiful day, beautiful people, a lot of close-up gigs. And one of the toys that I was playing with was one of the original Fism Flash. If you ever had that, I'm
Yeah.
sure there's modern versions, but this was the old bulky hip pack toe switch, giant light bulb under your shirt, so that you could make these flashes happen when the coin would vanish or whatever happens. There's a flash of light, and so I'd use that occasionally in my trick. Doing the show, everything's going great. I'm at the last table, which includes the guy that's paying me. So I'm doing a couple little extra things, and he pays me. And then I'm walking down this hallway, exiting the place, and they kind of call back to me. And I have vivid memory of this. Alexander, we pay you extra. Will you tell us how you did it? And I just kind of shook my head at him and kind of gave him one of these, like no, but cool question, man. I'm out of here. And went to spin to leave. But in that second, the beautiful blue sky and the sun that had shone down, all of that went away. A dark cloud had come in. And when I went like that, I hit my flash to add to it. But the sky hit its flash, and a bolt of lightning and a thunderclap shook the damn building all at once. Like, hey, you're not going to tell us how you did it? And I'm like, power of God. And without missing a beat, turned on my heel and kept on going as if I meant it. And oh man, they must have, yeah,
They think you're
all
Gandalf.
frozen, staring at me as I just casually walked away after.
Yeah, that's
Rain
beyond a
starts
card
pouring
trick.
down, and it's
Huge
like taking
clap of
credit
thunder.
for. I mean, that's how the medicine man felt. You know, he would do a little
Sure.
dance, and it would start raining finally, and everybody would say, "Hey, this guy's the man."
Yeah,
Follow him.
you got to wonder if maybe the first magician was accidental. Something just happened by coincidence. He got
100%.
credit for it, and he's like, "Yeah, I do magic. Yeah, sure." And then
Yeah,
started
and then he
learning
had to
some
figure
life.
out how to like keep the game going. And
Yeah, like how do I
those
make that
tricks were
happen
born.
again? How do I create a
Yeah.
Fism Flash? Exactly.
Right. I might
So
not be able to make it rain every year, but I can make this nut vanish from under this other bigger nut.
exactly. So yeah, speaking of nuts, it is kind of nuts to become a magician. How did that start for you? Why magician? Why magic?
Oh, that's a good question. Why?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a question I ask myself all the time. Why does anything happen to anybody? I got interested in magic to impress girls. No, I was like 5 years old. My folks gave me a magic kit, and I was just one of those kids that never put it away. And when David Blaine kind of started, I saw the potential of doing close-up magic. Before that, it was kind of always, I don't know if you had the same experience, but before Blaine, it was like, if you were thinking about magic, you're like, well, I got to get doves, and I got to get a Ferrari, and I got to get a trap. There has to be a trap door. You know, how do I?
Wait, you said
Just gotta
doves
look
and
at
then
card
and then
tricks.
wait, you said doves and robbery? What did you say?
A Ferrari.
A Ferrari. Oh, I thought you said
A Ferrari.
I thought you transitioned from dove magic to robbery, and I was like, well, that is one of our talent. Yeah, I mean there are guys that
yeah.
transition to
That's
bank
how now you
robber.
see me.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's some just like, how'd you get in magic? Well, I started as a bank robber and then started doing kid
Right, the
shows.
same skills. It's just
Yeah,
that's
similar
actually
thing.
Norm Macdonald's. That's Norm Macdonald's story.
No, I
He was a
didn't know
con
that.
man. He was a hustler con man, and he
Really?
figured he was good at talking to people, and
Sure.
really that's what he was getting paid to do, was to talk. And so he decided to go legit and be a comedian.
I would love to. I would love to see him do a kid show.
Apparently, that's
So
the story.
yeah, I have this SpongeBob, and now see, there's two of them. Yeah,
I don't know if he ever did magic, but that would be a wonderful thing.
yeah, sure. Love his
That'd be a
stuff.
wonderful
Wow,
thing.
I didn't know he was a con man. That's crazy.
I think he started out doing some shady shit in his life.
Okay, nice. All right. So, and now, skipping, because I want to know, and I'm curious for myself because I want to know, what are you up to? Like, what's going on in your life now? Because I knew exactly what you were doing when you were here in New Orleans.
Sure.
What are you doing now?
Gigging. I'm a gig
Okay.
man these days. I got some travel plans next summer, perhaps, but I'm kind of setting up shop up here in the tri-state area.
Yeah. So where are you
Doing private
exactly then?
parties and stuff. I'm in Michigan,
Okay.
Southeast Michigan, so I do parties in Ohio, and New York State, Pennsylvania, Indiana, all over Michigan too. Um,
And
yeah,
now, are there areas there?
keeping that ball rolling.
Have you found locations where you're also doing street performing, doing your street act, or
It's
have you?
pretty sparse. It's
Okay.
pretty sparse. You can occasionally crash a festival
Festival.
and get away with it, but um, as far as busking anymore, when I think about busking, it's either to travel with, or if I'm doing it around here, it's like not busking, but just putting yourself in front of people, finding a way to do a trick for a group or a person or a retail situation, and just to hand somebody a card and make somebody's
Right.
day. I'm passing out cards, not passing the hat these days. So,
Okay. And now that was a big transition, since you were definitely used to street performing and one of the difficult
very
places to
much.
work, Jackson Square. And
Yeah.
what was that? Was that a career move for you, or was that more of a location move? And then so you changed your career to adapt?
Um, six of one, half a dozen of the other, I suppose. Part of what drew me to continue to do magic after school and not pursue any other real career was the ability to travel with it, to do busking, to do international festivals, and go all over the United States and kind of make money anywhere.
Right.
Did that for a long time. Kind of felt like I needed a short break, a couple of years. So I came out to Michigan. I had a couple of nephews just popped out up here, so I wanted to kind of see their early life, be around for it, and which all worked out really well because COVID hit. I was kind of getting it rolling up here, the gigs, and then COVID just wiped it out like it did everybody else. And then a couple of years, I got my couple of years of break
Yeah. Right.
from performing for people, and now it's just kind of trying to get that ball rolling in the same way, a little bit more refined as to kind of what my clientele should be, and all that. But no, I feel like it's a career move that's based on a location move. That's what I want at the moment. But also now it's been a few years of this, and I'm feeling that travel itch come back. So
Okay.
you might see me on the street again.
Yeah. Well, I figured, at some point you'd pop in and want to get down there and you'd have that itch. So it is a crazy transition. Can you talk a little bit more about some of the differences? Because we were talking about not every performer can make that transition. Not every performer can go from a street show to the corporate market. And like I was saying to you earlier, I saw a street juggler that was booked at one of these magic conventions to go on stage, and he was still doing his crowd building shtick, even though the audience is already sitting there, because
Right.
he's used to that part of it where you're having part of his show, about 40 minutes of his show is used to building a crowd, and that's where a lot of his
Sure.
jokes and lines come in. So and then a lot of people, of course, their material isn't appropriate for the corporate world, and
That's another thing.
because of that reason they can't really transition. So yeah, I'd like
Yeah.
to hear your thoughts on that.
I mean, I think as far as what your material is, that's a character thing. You can sell just about any character if you sell it to the right audience, whether that be corporate world or private world or whatever branch you want to take of your goal of audience there. But so as far as like material, yeah, that's the big problem is so much of the material on the street is to keep your crowd together, and then you go into a situation where you have a captive audience. You don't need to do that. That doesn't mean that material's all dead. A lot of my material has shifted, and now it's just jokes. But the good news is, if you are transitioning to indoors, one of the things you get to do is slow way down.
Oh,
They're
right.
not going anywhere. You don't need one joke every 12 seconds necessarily.
You can even turn your back and they're not going to disappear on you.
Right. You can do more stuff without worrying about losing your audience. You can hold a moment a little longer. You can be a little more experimental. You can, and anything that worked on the street does have that mass appeal, that commercial appeal. So even if it's edgier a little bit, needs to be pulled back or slowed down, a lot of that experience is going to cross over. I would say that the biggest thing is on the street, you are doing your marketing and doing your show all at once.
Right.
Well, the thing I'm struggling with is really separating that of sitting and doing my marketing. It's not a valley, but it's got a lot of the same philosophy behind it. You got to hook people. You got to continue to address them, keep them in mind, and keep them entertained in some ways. But then once you do that marketing, now you can do your show, and you can just focus on the show and relax and do the show now. So it's kind of nice once you're doing the show to not have to be marketing the whole show.
Right.
But for me, that's been the rough part, is doing just marketing, just that. I'm not,
Yeah, I think
I'm not
most
out
of us
there
would rather just perform and not have
shouting
to sell
at the
ourselves.
couples walking by.
Yeah, and well, most of us would rather perform and not have to, in both ways, whether you're having to be your own barker on the street, or if you're having to be your own marketer in front of a computer just to get the gigs. That's the part that some people like it. Some people really enjoy that part of it. I don't. I know that you don't. And a lot of people
it's the artist curse.
I
think generally artists would rather just if people would just show up and watch me, that'd be great.
Yeah, like, why aren't you just hire me? I'm good. Just hire me. Let's do this. Yeah. So let's talk specifically material. Like, have you found certain routines that you've added that you weren't doing before, or that you've changed for that market? Like specifically, what types of tricks are you doing, or effects are you doing now that maybe you have changed?
So you may have known me as a very practical magician. A lot of street magicians, especially even in the street world, people would say that's the smallest kit I've ever seen. I could do my show out of my pockets. It was coins, rope, deck of cards, thumb tip. I don't need anything else. For a long time, the trick that you showed was my finale.
That was the finale? Oh, okay.
For a few years there, yeah. It was the greatest card trick in the world coming up, the greatest card trick in the world. And I would just do that trick.
And it is. I agree. It is. We'll talk more about that. That is the greatest card trick. Yeah.
Yeah. The base trick of that, I will argue, is the greatest card trick in the world. My version, whether that's the greatest card trick, fine. But anyway, my material for now I'm transitioning indoors, I don't have to worry so much about practicality, about being able to do 7 shows out of a backpack and maybe it rains and all that. I can prepare some things. So I have added a lot of moments to my show that I'm kind of getting to be proud of. The other part that's a huge difference is the amount of practice you get in front of an audience. Like if I'm gigging a lot, I'm still not doing nearly as many shows as I would do on the street.
Sure.
And getting to work things in and really polish them up. So anything I add is a slow addition.
Right.
But my finale now has multiple phases. There are things that I do with a table now. When I first started on the street, I brought a table with me, but that quickly went away. And I was kind of on the almost religious side of no table, minimal props kind of guy.
Well, and it's the lugging it around.
I see magic shows on the street that lug up with a cart. They have a cart of stuff that they need to unload and unpack and do all this stuff. And you're getting the same hat. Yeah. And mine is in my pockets. And there's my amp, and that's it. So for work to pay ratio, I was always a fan of paring it way down. But especially, I know I'm going to get paid. It's not like it's every show is an experiment on the street. Every show is a maybe you get paid at the end. Being sure you're going to get paid, I can put a little bit more into it. I can even upsell and say, like, I have levels of shows. Like, do you want the premium show, or there's the finale is even more magical, or upsells.
Now, what skills do you believe are enhancing what you do now? What skills are you bringing to the table, or what's really up your sleeve based on your experience doing street magic? What do you bring from that has really enhanced your performance in the corporate market or in the gigging market?
Timing. Yeah, I think the stage time that you get on the street, that's the biggest boon that kind of any venue can give you is the amount of times you get to fail, the amount of polish you get to put in. So,
well, a lot of people have said, go ahead.
In front of an audience, that's kind of my gem of. I have experience in front of an audience. I'm well versed. Flexibility is something that I'll sell. That comes from doing the street. I don't need a lot. I'm very low maintenance. You're not going to be running around trying to make sure my stage is right and my chairs are right and my sound is right and all this. You can forget about me when you hire me. And so that helps in the selling yourself,
right?
Especially business to business selling yourself. Solving your clients' problems becomes part of your job here as an entertainer. And if you can solve the problem of, well, now I got a whole nother thing to worry about with this act that I've hired, and just be there and be ready for anything. Be ready to put on a great show no matter what the circumstances. I don't know how many times mics have gone out or sound systems haven't worked for different shows. And it's like, cool, I'll just shout. I'll do my projection that I'm used to. When I used to do shows with no mic, with a brass band on this side and a bucket drummer on that side in Jackson Square, it'll be fine. So a lot of that can help put my clients' minds at ease, just knowing that I'll be able to handle it.
So we'll take you back to that first routine, because I chose that video for a reason. I love so much about it. And I asked you specifically if I could show it because I know a lot of magicians would go, oh no, it's just the invisible deck. Like I don't want to, this, your market's mainly, we're talking to magicians. They don't want to see that. And I truly believe that people need to see the classics done well, and B, a lot of people have not. They think they have, but until they see it really performed well. And there's a lot of intricate parts in there that are very specific, not only to you, but that are very specific to enhance that routine. And that's my favorite trick. When people ask me, what's your favorite trick? I always tell them the invisible deck. For many reasons, I have to say that that's my favorite trick in the world. And I only knew it wasn't your opener because of the fact that you say we're going to get back to Joe's $5 bill. We can tell that more has happened in the show, but obviously it could be an opener, be a closer. It's killer at any point. So yeah, I'd like to. We'll close with that. Sure. As you, obviously, I can talk to Alex for hours because we have talked for hours. But we'll close with your thoughts on the invisible deck. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to keep you around because normally I try to do an after hours party. Our next guest is Francis, who's just arrived in Chicago. He'll be performing at the Chicago Magic Lounge. So I know he's going to want to get settled in there. So I didn't want to try to keep him too late, but I'm going to try to keep you up because we're going to do something different. After I close the Facebook stream, I'm going to keep my stream going on my Twitch channel, the Not That Magic Mike. And we're going to do what you and I do best together, which is just secondary to magic, and that is Rocket League. So you can see a little bit of our awesome video gaming, because we have had some great times just gaming together. If you're not familiar with that game, it is a blast, and it is such a fun, interactive game to play with friends. So that's what I'm going to be doing with Alex after we finish with this show. But your thoughts on the invisible deck and why that's such a great classic?
So yeah, the greatest card trick ever invented and the greatest video game ever, the rocket-powered battle cars playing soccer. I don't have any video game clips out there, so I have to clip me so I get my first clip. But no, invisible deck, Don Allen, name a better trick. I dare you. There isn't one. That's such a perfect trick. From the audience's perspective, it's a perfect trick. Even if they could fathom part of a method, there's other parts to it. You have to think of like 3 things at once if you're going to figure it out, first of all. Secondly, there's a million ways it could be presented. I know plenty of guys who just keep it in their back pocket as an out.
Sure.
If they ever lose a card, or if they're ever challenged.
Yep.
Like it's the ultimate challenge breaker too. Like there's a few other decks like it, of course, that any card can be named and you can do the thing. But the simplicity of it, like I say, the way that you can play it. And I love the original presentation, having an invisible deck that becomes real. Now it's not I'm finding a card. It's we are conjuring a thing from our imaginations into reality.
Right.
And that's kind of the theme in my show. And so it fits perfectly. My last trick is taking a piece of art and pulling it off the page and making it real. So to turn something from imagination to reality, what like more distilled way could you describe magic? You know, abracadabra means I speak things into existence.
Yeah.
So
one moment that I love.
Combine it with, if you want to talk technical a little bit. I combine it with Marcus Eddy's Empty, which is a great, simple empty box to full box method. I used to do David Regal's, where he has a flat box. I forget what it's called, Sudden Deck.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's great.
I used to do that, and that's a great way to present that trick. I don't want anybody to steal any of this, but it's flabbergasting to me. I don't see more magicians do that classic routine. I'll see them do a visible deck, but to add the actual effect of the deck itself becoming real in a space. You saw the look on the little girl's face. That's how every little kid and every person I've ever done it for looks, because it's right there. And adding Empty to invisible deck, now you're talking 4 or 5 layers.
Yeah. And one moment that I really noticed different, a lot of people don't justify the fact that the card's reversed. They'll act like, oh, you accidentally, because you couldn't see because it was invisible, you accidentally put it the wrong way, and that's why we're finding it.
That's totally fine. You can do
but
that.
Your line about go ahead and turn it around, that'll make it easier to find, does 2 things. One, it justifies the fact that the card's reversed, but 2, it also gets a good comedy line in there because the whole thing's invisible, so that it makes no sense at that time of like, oh yeah, turn it around. Because like I tell people, like, wait, don't show the card to me. I'm just kidding. They were face up. They were invisible the whole time.
Exactly.
So what difference does it make? Yeah.
While you're holding it the wrong way, show it around again, all of that feeds into that trick. Well, those jokes write themselves.
Sure. Yeah.
And you can do that presentation with anything that you're making appear. Play with the invisible version first. Like that's so much fun. And,
excellent. And the reaction, the crowd reaction.
Call it milking the routine, but I think it's strange changing just a trick into a theatrical experience. It's me and the kid playing a game, and we play this silly game, and the game itself is entertaining, and it doesn't have to fool anybody until it fools everybody, and that's what I love about it. So.
And I love the crowd's reaction to that. We'll put that link again in the chat so people can go to the video and check it out and see that again. I think a lot of magicians should watch it to see a model of how you can take a classic and make it truly magical for people and perform it really well. And even something that, knowing your background of how much you studied sleight of hand, the fact that you can make something so powerful when really you're not having to use all of the skills that you've adapted throughout the years, but in a sense, it is skills, just different types of skills that you've put into that.
Skills.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's one thing. Experience and doing a lot of things in front of a lot of audiences will teach you is they don't care how long it took you to do this or that. They care if it entertains them or if you make it interesting to them and make them care about it in some way. That's the skill. So however hard the trick is, a lot of people might brush me off seeing me do invisible deck. Fine. Keep it out of your repertoire. I'll do it.
Yeah,
you do the finger flicking, and I'll do that. Yeah. And we'll see which one the audience goes, wow, you got to see this.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Alex. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope that I get to see you. Got to come visit me pretty soon. I'll let you know if I'm in the Michigan area, but I'm glad you could be a part of this community. And have a great Thanksgiving. And I will see you in about 30 minutes to play some soccer car.
Yeah, sounds great, sir. Happy
Awesome.
Thanksgiving.
Cheers. All right, that was Alexander the Magician, and now we're going to play another video for you as I welcome the next guest to the show. We're very lucky to have him. He's incredibly busy, actually, and we're going to talk to him about his week's experience because he just went from the Magic Castle to the Chicago Magic Lounge, two of my favorite places. But for now, what we're going to do is show you the second time that he was on Penn and Teller, because the first time he fooled them with, believe it or not, Scrabble tiles. Pretty amazing. I watched it. I don't know how it was done, so I don't feel bad because Penn and Teller, they don't know how it was done. But now you get to see that we're going to show not the whole thing, but the beginning of the second time that Francis Menotti was on Penn and Teller. And here you go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and now let's learn all about our next trickster.
Hi, I'm Francis Menotti, and I'm what you might call an absurdist magician. When I first found out that magic wasn't real, I wasn't disenchanted with it. I actually found it even more interesting. I found the concept of using one's intellect to create the illusion of something happening was far more interesting than the idea that I could do real magic. When I am doing a trick, I am sharing the experience with them. I don't like going out there and saying, hey, look what I can do. I like to say, wow, look at this. Isn't this cool? And I want to watch this with you. I want to tell a story. And I'll say, here's what you think you know about reality. And I'll try and challenge that. And you think, oh, maybe what I thought is impossible isn't so impossible after all.
Will you please welcome Francis Menotti?
Hold on a second. I'm playing the wrong video. Okay, well, the great intro either way. They have another cool intro for the second video. This was the I somehow I got them switched. This was the Scrabble tile video. We don't have time for everything. I'll put the link. We'll put the link up. Let me do that now so that you guys can watch the very first time he was on. But he wants to talk specifically about the second time and one of the sites that he's using. So, and I actually think that after watching it, I don't know for sure that they weren't somewhat fooled. I think that he kind of allowed them to generalize, and I think if they had gotten more specific, he may have had 2 trophies actually. He may be entitled to 2 is what I'll say. So give me a second here because I don't know how I did that, but let me find the right one. So that was the first time that he was on Penn and Teller, and let's see. Yep, I did. Let me grab it from I'm gonna grab it from Discord here because I did lose that one. That should be, sorry about that. Sorry, Francis. And we did start a little bit late. I want to give you enough time here. Oh, what how did I manage that? That's that's what I get for watching the videos ahead of time. I was playing around with the videos, watching them, and then I lost track of what I was doing. Okay. So we're gonna go. Oh, that's not it. So this will be the second time, which it's pretty pretty outstanding in itself. To be just to be on once is incredible. To be on twice is absurd. So this is Francis returns to Penn and Teller. The intro was similar to this. It wasn't until I saw the host that I realized, wait a minute, that's not the right one. But you got to see. We'll skip through the intro. Let me go through a minute so we can get to the actual effect. Both were very excellent intros that they did. The montage of introducing Francis. So here it is. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And play.
With 2 randomly selected members of our studio audience, please welcome previous Fooler, Francis Menotti.
Thank you.
We're going to play a little game of assumptions here. What might you assume would be in a small wooden box about this size and shape belonging to a magician?
Cards?
Cards. It's an excellent choice. You could have said coins, keys, anything that would fit inside the box, but you said cards, and that happens to be correct. Not necessarily a full deck, but that's not much of a surprise now. Now, at this point, you might assume that this is a standard pick a card, find a card trick, right? Not quite. I am going to have you take a playing card out, write your name across the face of it. I'll give you a marker to do that. If you just lean forward and sign right across the face, big bold letters, and then show it to the camera as well, please. And it was Fred?
Fred.
Would you mind taking out a dollar bill? We'll need that in just a minute. Please.
Okay.
Thank you, Janine. Excellent. Janine, I'm going to allay your assumptions for just a minute and tell you exactly what's going to happen before it happens. Your card is going to disappear from the deck and reappear inside the box. You have that dollar bill?
Yes.
May I just place it right here? And in fact, Fred, would you also write your name across the face of it, big bold letters? Again, we'll need that in a minute. Don't worry, it's not illegal. It just annoys the government. I'm fine with that. Janine, like I said, your card's going to disappear from the deck and reappear inside the box. Here's the question, though. Where's the box?
There.
There, it's a great assumption, right? Yeah, that's what we saw before. The problem is, this is a magic show. You can't always trust your assumptions. That's not a box. That's a small stack of wooden planks. Sort of the same principles and properties as a pack of cards. You could almost stack and shuffle them, but if that's not the box, Janine, Fred, fold it up inside a hollowed out pack of cards. One playing card. Now, Fred, here's the magic moment. If you'd be so kind, unfold that for me and show everyone, especially the camera, if that's actually Janine's playing card. Is it? Yeah. Well, that's yours. Now, at this point, you might assume that that was a trick I was trying to use to try and fool Penn and Teller. Not quite. Now, we're going to play another game of assumptions, and that is involving your dollar bill. You signed your name across the face of it, Fred. It's the only one like it.
All right, I'm going to stop it there because I want you guys to go to the link, and thank you, Meadow, for placing the link there. Go and watch both of his performances, but it's actually the first part of it that he's going to talk about in just a moment. But 2 appearances on Penn and Teller, coming to us live from Chicago, and thank you for being here. Welcome, Francis Menotti.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. How's it going?
Yes. Great, looking great. And as our resident metrosexual, can I please compliment your manicure on the show? Because that was close up of your hands. But not only did your hands look good, but your volunteer, Fred. I'm not even talking about Janine. Fred's nails look great too.
Why we insisted that we always vet people, make sure they have had a manicure at least with 24
All
hours.
right, good, yeah.
No, I mean, it's funny you say that. I'll actually cut right to that immediately. That's the thing that a lot of close-up magicians. I learned this from great classic close-up magician Kevin Bethea years ago, and many other people since. Kevin's out of New Jersey, fantastic worker. Most people wouldn't know the name necessarily, but because he's always working. But I learned from him years ago the idea of getting a manicure before doing a close-up piece, especially for TV. And my wife Lindsay and I, as kind of a tradition, if we're about to go do a big thing, either one or the other, or both of us is doing a TV spot or a big fancy something or other, we'll get a manicure and or a pedicure because it's the most relaxing thing in the world. And but manicure specifically for going on stage. And I'm not talking like getting, nail polish or let me do whatever you want, whatever fits your style and your character, but just having the importance of taking the time and caring about your audience enough to making sure that you're presenting yourself in the best possible way visually. I don't want now that I'm looking at it, did I? I think I cleaned my fingernails before this.
It's okay, we're not doing close-ups. Mine look horrible, so I'm keeping them down here.
Fair, but yeah, no, it's more important than pretty much most of the biggest pros that I know do something similar. They take care of themselves. In that sort of way. So, but yeah, thanks for showing that. You started the clip. I was like, that's not. Did I send you the wrong clip? I don't know. Okay, so.
Well, the first clue was your hair looked so different, but other than that, you haven't aged. You look exactly the same. So I couldn't tell just because it was a younger version of yourself. It wasn't until honestly we got to the English host that I was like, wait, that's not right.
I may not have aged. So you should see the painting we have above our stairwell.
Yes, that's what it is. I have seen it. That's your secret. I love it. And much like I was saying with Alexander, your magic doesn't come from your hair, so that's good to know.
Not usually, no.
Not usually.
I do.
So the one question I gotta ask you, that I always ask our guests is, what is something up your sleeve? Which Alex was more literal, but what is unless you have something up your sleeve, but
But
what is
I couldn't help but notice, like as soon as he finished that routine, I found one of Alex's
oh
coins.
no. Oh, they're
Um,
everywhere.
I'm gonna pass this along for him to have later. So, uh,
Excellent.
but yeah, I two things are up my sleeve. They're both akin to each other. So I've been a full-time performing magician for 23 years, and I love doing that. And it's the main reason I got into that was to travel, but that's a whole other side story. And I think it's a reason a lot of people do. But in the last year and just over a year now, I've taken a little more interest and focused a little more on social media stuff. I'm not a blogger, YouTuber, Instagram, TikTok person, but um, the short story of this is after I had lunch with a really dear friend of mine in LA last year, Bonnie Gordon, is actually from Louisiana. She, but now in LA, she's a hard worker, voice actor, performer, singer, fantastic person. She and I had lunch, tea, and she revealed to me that she actually at one point recently, in the last couple of years, lost a job or at least got a different role in a TV show because the person that they originally were going to give it to her, the person they bumped her for, had more Instagram followers,
Wow.
and that's when I used to kind of dismiss that, and I still dismiss it a lot because it's absurd. But when that happened, when we talked about that, I realized, okay, if it's reached the Hollywood level, there are certain things we can't ignore certain aspects of our promotion and our business and social media. As much as I'm not a huge fan of it, and I know a lot of other friends are is not a fan either, but I take it seriously, a little more seriously. So I've started doing more regular postings, and it's helped. But the reason this is what's up my sleeve is there's two things that I do weekly, and I'm not doing like Lindsay does the daily posting, and that's I appreciate what she does, and it's hard work, and it's worked out. She's gotten work from it. I have two things that I do weekly. One is a hobby of mine that's stop motion animation. I love stop motion, like claymation and the old school, like right around the holiday season, you get Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah,
Uh,
I saw what you did with the Sharpie.
yeah,
With the Sharpie, drawing the Sharpie and pulling it out of the paper and everything. That was great. That was
yeah.
fantastic.
Thank you. It's just fun for me, but it's a thing that I've always liked stop motion. And another magician out in LA last year, Tori Nokes and we hit it off talking about stop motion, and we started challenging each other. And I've kept it going, but I'm doing a weekly stop mo thing that's 15 seconds, and it's just fun. It's fun, and I get to take challenges, and I love putting them out there, and it keeps people coming back to pay attention to my page and my site, which then allows me to once in a while say, by the way, I'm also selling this thing, or I have this show coming up, because people are already coming back, and it doesn't feel aggressive. It doesn't feel like come here, let me just sell to you, right? And the other thing I do is on Mondays, although I skipped this week because we were traveling and last couple of weeks have been crazy, is something I called myoptricks, which are tricks that I shoot just from the magician's perspective. So I have a little harness, I put my phone and video shooting at my hands, and I'm sometimes I'm spending a lot of time on them, sometimes it's just whatever I can think of really quickly, but I'm creating a piece of magic that you never see my face or anything, you only see my hand. So it's like as if you're watching what I'm seeing, and it might make a coin disappear, or it might make the cards change color, or it make something float, or a ring penetrate a stick or something. But the myoptrics have been fun for me to challenge my creativity, to help put stuff on social media, and has resulted in something that is now an on-stage piece that has been making its debut. It made its debut at the
Wow.
Castle. Not really made its debut, but really got a good workout at the Magic Castle a few weeks ago, and will be at the Chicago Magic Lounge this week. So,
Oh, very cool.
yeah.
That's actually one of my questions, was going to be, what does your show consist of, and how different is it going from one to the other? Because was it specifically a Halloween show that you were doing at the castle?
So the Castle, yes, the Castle. I've been performing at the Magic Castle since I think 2006, on and off, once a year thereabouts, once or twice a year. different rooms, and you've done it recently. I know you know how it's an amazing place. There's no
Amazing.
place
It's a
like
dream.
anyway. Exactly. No matter who you are in the world, if you're a magician, there's an element of you that says, I got to play the castle. And you're right. It's a wonderful, and it's a family. They take care of you out there, and it's especially now in the last few years, it's really gotten spruced up and well managed. But this particular time, what happened was, well, a quick side note: at the beginning of August, I broke my leg. I broke my femur. Don't do that, by the way.
Right.
Everyone's like, break a leg, break a leg. I was like, sure, I'll give it a try. Stupid, bad idea. Do not recommend. 0 out of 10.
It's good
But
that you don't do sleight of foot.
right, I mean, the funny thing is, I've been trying to think of other. I do have a cane that I walk around with, and actually, the piece that I'm closing this week at the lounge involves a trick that I do with the cane. I don't want to say more than that right now because I'm.
Okay.
But anyway, so broke the leg. I did not work at all in August or September. If people out there don't know what the femur is, it's the largest, heaviest, most difficult to break bone in your body. 1,800 pounds per square inch. I've heard it's told that it's to break it. I didn't find it that hard. It was my Lindsay and I were building a small tiny house up on her parents' property and a little cabin, and I was just taking a measurement. Ladder slipped. I built a lot in the past, and so it was a weird freak accident. The question people always ask is, well, was it an equipment failure or was it your fault? And obviously, my answer is it was the latter.
That's great.
You have to joke about it. You have to, I have to find it. I also love that. That's a joke that pretty much no one can steal unless you leg, in which case.
Yeah. If you want to go break your leg by falling off a ladder, then steal Francis's
If
joke.
you want to do that, I'm not going to complain if you decide to go and follow in my footsteps, quite literally, with that one. I just don't recommend.
But it was the way you fell. It wasn't the distance, right? It was actually the way you fell.
I was only about 6 feet up, and it was just the manner in which I fell. I'm a rock climber as well. I kind of overcorrected, flanked out too far. My left leg got caught in the rungs.
Okay.
And don't make anyone lose their lunch. When I landed, in the moment, didn't feel or hear anything. It was instant. Thank God for shock. I didn't notice anything. All I know is when I landed on the deck that the building was built on, my left foot was facing my face, and it was just bent backwards towards me, and I said, that's not where that belongs. So had to have a helicopter life flight ride out of the woods. It was not a fun time. Anyway,
Side note, have you heard Brian Regan's routine about the femur bone?
No.
Okay, you got to hear it. Basically, I wouldn't do it justice. I'm not going to do it for you, but you're going to have to look up Brian Regan. But the premise is that when he's asked by the doctor, like, rate your pain on a scale of 1 to 10, and he's trying to think of like, well, if I say 2, they're going to give me a baby aspirin, but I don't want to say like 9 because I've heard that breaking your femur bone is like the most painful thing. And then later he's thinking, well, what did I care? Like someone's going to hobble in from the femur ward going, who the hell said they were a 9? Like,
yeah, I can
somebody.
I can confirm. I will absolutely attest. And anyone else, I have a small group of people that I now know have broken their femur, because when you do something like that, you immediately, or at least in my brain, goes, all right, who else has done this?
You have a Facebook group, like a femur Facebook group?
It's sort of a Facebook group. There's officially 2 members. It's me and Lauren Cohen, Lauren Quietek, I believe. But Lauren broke hers about a year ago, almost. And we just had brunch at the castle recently. And we said, this is a small club that we don't want new members. But I reached out to her immediately. I said, all right, talk me through this because this sucks. And she said, yes, it does. And so yeah, all I can say is everyone's had bad things happen to them. This is the first bone I ever broke in my body, but it's worst pain I've ever experienced. And anyone else I know has said the same thing. So just, it's a different kind. It's not even a 1 to 10. It's a 1 to, we're way above spinal tap at this point. So,
wow.
Anyway, which funny story, I also fractured my spine at the same time, but that didn't really affect me as much as the leg. So
when
I
I got to see you during the recovery when I saw you in Philadelphia, and we were walking on some really wet grass at the time, leaving the theater, and you were making me so nervous walking on your. And I could tell you wanted to do everything, and you were forcing yourself to recover, but at the same time, it's like, I hope he doesn't slip. I don't want
yeah.
to be I don't want to be there when they have to helicopter him out again.
Yeah, no, it's so to allay concerns briefly, and I'll continue. I'll get back to the first part of the story that you asked about, which was the castle, but it's all related. Um, I do now. I walk with a cane if I have to walk more than a block or two, but my physical therapist is great. She's been kicking my butt hard to make it so that recovery has gotten better. And so I didn't work in September or October or August or September, which is the longest time in my entire full-time professional career that I didn't work. And that messes with your body. It messes with your brain. It messes with your. I won't say severely depressed, but it was definitely pretty rough. I don't remember anything of August at all. Um, and we got a call from Jack Goldfinger, who was the for those that don't know, the person who books the castle. And he called Lindsay. He called Lindsay and said, "Hey, would you guys want to come out? And would you be able to come out and do 2 weeks? Because usually it's just a 1 week run. Said 2 week run from for the last 2 weeks leading up to Halloween, and the last night being Halloween." And
Huh.
this is, I want to say, probably beginning of September, maybe early. I wasn't really sure where I was going to be, but I went with my surgeon's recommendation and my PT, and they said before this that, well, we hope that you'll be able to walk pretty significantly well within the next few weeks. And because what happened, I have a titanium rod from my knee to my hip almost. They had me putting weight on it the next day, which is insane. Modern medicine is crazy. The bone itself won't be fully healed until like late next summer, but I'll be probably literally running on it again before it's even.
Wow.
That's crazy. So Jack called. I said, Lindsay and I talked about it. I said, you know what? If I'm able to be performing at all because this was mid October, I started taking gigs again in the beginning of October. By mid October, I think I'll be able to do something. And worst case scenario, we'll just script it in that I can do some pieces sitting down or just take it a little easier. Fortunately, I was able to do well enough that by the time we got out there, I was able to do all of the shows. And fortunately, also, it was a two-person show. It was Lindsay and me doing it together. They called her and they asked if we could do something like a Halloween show, back to that original question. Um, and we said, yeah, sure, because I have a lot of weird, dark, macabre stuff. And Lindsay's got, a lot of great ideas and great personality. Like she loves Halloween. And so already had a few pieces that were related to Halloween, like a confabulation routine where we create a monster. And in this case, we turned it into create a ghost. And she said, what if we do something where we borrow the ghost light, which is a theater light. You probably know this, but for those that don't, most theaters have a ghost light, and the light is on a simple light on the stand that after the theater's closed, when people have gone home, they leave the light on all the time to either ward off the ghosts or appease them. I don't know. There's different folklore about it. We said, let's take the ghost light from the palace. And they keep it in the Peller Theater when the shows are going on. And that became the myth for the story. And we wrote this whole thing where at the beginning of the show, right before the host comes out, the manager comes out to introduce us, I walk across the front of the room and say, huh, that's not supposed to be there. And I unplug it in front of everyone and bring it backstage. And it's fun. There's a big sign on it say, do not unplug and all that. It was great because we immediately from the top of the show had people, especially like those who were superstitious about such things, would
Right.
freak out. They say, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? And then for the next half hour, 40, whatever, however long the show, I think it was a half hour show, 35 minutes, shit went wrong. Like basically we would get haunted. Things would, as soon as I went backstage, a chair flew over and a little bell would ring once in a while. And then tricks didn't go wrong per se, but we ended up being haunted throughout the show, and it became a light kept going on and off. And it was all because, yeah, we wrote it just for that 2 week run. But we loved it so much that we said, you know what, we're going to take the video, and we're going to mount it as a longer show in theaters. So we're going to bring it to Dickens Parlor Theater in Delaware in February, I think that is, and do it as a full run. So
So all the costumes that Lindsay brought with you guys wasn't for the show itself, but that was just for her Instagram posts?
That was for, let's see if we can, yeah, she had 14. Okay, so they, ah, sentence, we got it here. At Halloween time, one of the things for the castle is that they encourage, and in fact, some nights require, the dress code requirement is costume.
Oh, really?
A performer, it doesn't matter as much because you're not going to expect you to get in and out of costume and all that. But we said, sure, why not? And Lindsay used to be a costumer, so she and loves a lot of, has a lot of different interests. So we did some combined costumes and and she did 14 of her own every
She
night. So
performed in a different costume each night, or just took the videos?
no,
Oh,
just we
wow.
perform in them. We did because it's just not worth. We still wanted to keep the integrity of the show, and
Sure.
also when
Well,
you
and that's a lot
perform,
of trouble. Sometimes your outfit you're depending on your pockets and what you're wearing and for different
absolutely,
effects.
yeah, pocket management is key to.
Yeah.
And so we didn't. That was, but what we would do is we would do the show or shows, and uh, quickly jump into costume, run through the castle, do our little greetings and everything, do our outside photos, and then our photo in the photo area that they had set up, and then move on to the next night. But yeah, it meant we had an extra checked suitcase, and it was the most pain in the butt travel I've done because we
I
had
could
like walking on a broken leg. We got our 2 carry-ons and a backpack. We've got 3 giant suitcases trying to get through LAX, and you know what that means. It's just yeah, we're one of the U.S.'s worst airports to
every
navigate.
one of her posts, I was trying to imagine your face during the process going, "Oh, how many of these are we doing? How much more of this do I have to do?"
I know what I know my partner. Lindsay, yeah. When if they say marry your best friend, I did. That does also means that sometimes she has no chill, so it's in the best of ways. But that means that yeah, it was a challenge. Especially it was a challenge for me travel wise because I'm at the time like right now I can walk several blocks without any pain or anything. Even just 2 weeks ago, and that was now like 3 weeks or more. Uh, it was bad. It was
Yeah.
rough. But yeah, I'm pretty much I would say pretty much back to normal almost by the end of this year should be.
So I did have a question actually about two performers getting married, but hold on before we come back to that. The transition from Magic Castle, amazing place in Los Angeles, to another amazing theater. You just got to Chicago because it's this weekend that you'll be performing. Tell us about, and Lindsay's performing as well, right? Tell us about what you guys are doing, what room you're performing, and a little bit about maybe what your show is going to be there. And anybody in the Chicago area needs to get down there and check you out, of course.
Absolutely. Anyone in the Chicago area is welcome to try to come, but I have been told right now we're even having a difficult time getting our couple of comps in because this week is just completely sold out pretty much. I think like 1 or 2 tickets on a Friday or
It's like
Saturday.
it's always sold out. They're whatever they're doing marketing wise is amazing because
Yeah.
it's always sold out. I couldn't get some of my best friends in when I was there. I couldn't believe it. I thought for sure they'd be able to, sneak them in the back, stand them up somewhere, and they actually said sorry.
Yeah.
We
No,
were
Chicago,
completely sold out.
a beautiful, wonderful speakeasy style setup space. It's a speakeasy with a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's not really like there's a fake entry. There's a
Yeah,
uh, laundromat entrance, right? Everyone, but it's like not really a secret, right? That would be bad marketing. But it's a special. There's a bar there that there's some of the best bar magic you'll ever see. Bibic is fantastic. Devin is fantastic. You'll see as soon as you walk in, you don't even have to buy tickets. You can just get a drink, stand at the bar, and watch some amazing close-up sleight of hand stuff. I think Kayla Drescher performs there quite a bit. But then the theater itself, I think called the Cabaret, is a couple hundred. I don't know. Your guess is I don't remember what the numbers are, but it's like
yeah. I think it's maybe a little over 100. I don't think it's as
yeah.
many as
I want
two.
to say
Yeah,
like 20, 100, something like that. But 100. But it's a classy. It feels like a classy joint. It is a classy joint, and you go and you get to see 2 acts. Well, you get to see close-up performers walking up to your tables or your areas and doing a little bit right before the show, And then the show begins, and Jan Rose is a phenomenal host, and she makes you feel at home and really tells you the history of Chicago and magic in Chicago. And then the opening, the feature act goes and does about 20 minutes. Then there's a brief, not intermission, but Jan memorizes everyone's names and birthdays and stuff like that. And then the headliner comes out. And I've done, Lindsay and I have performed together as a couple of magicians there in the headliner spot and in the feature spot. I've done the 654 Club, which is the close-up room off to the side, which is wonderful. It's a little larger than the close-up room at the castle. It's like a combination of the close-up room and the parlor at the Magic Castle, but it's intimate close-up there. And then this week I am doing we discussed it. I was like, I'll do the feature spot, and Lindsay, you do the headline spot. And so I'm doing, which actually is good in a lot of ways. First off, her energy is a good closing kind of energy. She's big and boisterous and like fun, and does a couple of pieces, especially at the end, that just are mind blowing. And I'm doing my kind of crazy weird stuff, but it's still like cabaret style. I'm not like dying with a knife in my back or doing blood tricks or things like that. I'm doing classic kind of styles of magic. Only one of which is a piece that everyone knows is a rope routine, but other stuff, well, I'm doing my egg bag routine. But the end of it, I'm doing a combination of a tossed out deck / card stab that has a lot of subtleties that magicians will appreciate, but is designed really for lay audience. The way I look at all magic, and this is what I appreciate about what Alex was saying before about the invisible deck. I have a lot of thoughts on the invisible deck. It's the difference between a pro and an amateur. There's nothing wrong with being an amateur or a hobbyist. Some of the best magicians in the world are hobbyists, but there's a different audience. And knowing how to perform for an audience of people who just want to see magic, sometimes the invisible deck, if it's done well, which he does well, and many people do, is the greatest thing. Just to take a quick side note on that, I often, my addendum on that is that the invisible deck, or the ultramental deck is the original title, is simultaneously the best and worst trick ever invented. And the reason I say he covered the best part, the reason I say it's the worst is it gives any person who walks into a magic shop and picks up the direct box and the directions feeling like they now are a magician, and oh, I have this trick, I have the thing, I can just do it. It's akin to looking at all of the ridiculous exposure videos online. You see kids exposing classic pieces. People say, do you get mad when people expose magic online? I say, no, I get sad, because what it is, they have the person exposing it, and most of the people watching it have no concept, zero concept, that what you're watching is about the smallest aspect of what makes a good magic piece. The secret, great, you now know. It's the equivalent of saying, I know how the Tesla works. It runs on electricity.
Right.
You don't know anything. And also, you don't have the ability to be able to take the secret. Yeah, great. Secret's clever. That's nice. Can you execute it? Can you execute it well? Can you make it interesting? Most importantly, can you make it interesting? Because the magic is only to a small percent inherently interesting to people. It's wildly fascinating to magicians, but magic is trivially interesting to the layperson, unless it's presented well. Anyway, that's my soapbox. I'm off of it now.
I completely agree with you. No, that was well stated, and it needs to be stated, and more people need to realize that, because they not only don't see the crime of exposing the magic, but also don't understand what they're taking away from people. And that's why it is important that if you're going to really appreciate it and love it, then that I relate it to seeing a beautiful painting and then just setting it on fire.
Interesting.
Like the art is now ruined. The art has been destroyed, essentially, in your mind, because it'll never be magical again. But something that is truly magical is how two people who are outstanding performers can actually be in a relationship together, because that definitely takes the magic touch. So a little bit about we're seeing a few couples that always perform together, some that always are together but they never perform together. You do both. You perform your own show, Lindsay does her own show, and also you do an act together. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges and the benefits and the history of that relationship?
Yeah, I'll do it in the reverse order of that. I'll say the first off, the history is Lindsay. It's funny when magicians meet Lindsay, if they make me, I've been doing it for my entire life, and I've been doing magic full time for 23 years, and as that means when you do something long enough, you can't help but get better at it and get pretty good at it. And if you don't, you shouldn't be doing it anymore. And that doesn't mean to me, I constantly am learning and getting better and improving. But I've been doing it a long time, and so there's an expectation that okay, well, you've been doing it a while, it should be good. She's only been doing magic for maybe 6, now 7 years, but and so magicians who say, wow, you're why how you do the Magic Castle and you do in the Chicago Magic Lounge and you travel and you do corporate events and you do this, yeah, because this is akin to the invisible deck situation. She had a decade before that of performing, emceeing, creating large scale events and hosting them and like working in front. She worked in front of crowds for so long that just adding the elements of a new skill, a technical, which is obviously not easy, but she had some of the hardest aspect of performing or of being a professional under her belt and out of the way. Like that's why I immediately knew when she started doing magic, I was like, you are going to be very good at this, because as long as we work on and hone the techniques, there are certain techniques that we can do. She's very good at talking to people, so she is kind of delves more into mentalism stuff, because it's all about communication and talking and vibing with the person. So when we met at a gig that neither of us wanted to do. She was doing like a cabaret kind of show, and we both went to this thing. Somewhat we were filling in for other people. We met. We're like, no, we don't want to do this, but we'll do it. At the end of the night, we both were wildly enamored with each other. Now it was complicated because we were both in relationships, but we were just like, wow, we want to work together. This is cool. I like what you do. You like what I do. Let's figure out how to make this work. And over time, those other relationships went away and we became closer and we ended up starting dating and then eventually got married. All this to say that was work in and of itself. But once she decided to go say, I want to do magic, we said, well, great. This is good because it means we can both travel together. Because we both love traveling. We love being with each other all the time. We're best friends. We're romantic partners, but we're also business partners and we're also best friends, like actual, what I refer to as my adventure partner. We can go, maybe not right now, but we usually can go for a hike or go camping or something like that. It's a little harder for me in the moment. Or travel on a cruise ship or do, go see art museums or go to Paris or wherever, and so when we started doing it together, one of the things that I love about being a couple performer is we both have our own thing. We can both perform individually, but right now we have a corporate agent that's really good at getting us things that are for us together. And it's nice to be able to say, hey, here's this group, this duo, couple of magicians.
Yeah.
And to give our background, where we've been, what we do, sell us. If the client says, that sounds great, but that's a little more than we can afford, or we don't want to do that right now, we want something more smaller, we say, no problem. And we divide and conquer. Right. I'll take the gig or she'll take the gig. And the other of us is now free to take another gig.
Yeah, you got options.
Work on something else or just have the night off, which when you're a full-time performer, you realize as much that it's also nice to just not do anything. So, yeah.
And the Peller Theater is perfect for you guys because that space was meant for a duo show, right? A duo act where you were in the castle.
The castle is perfect. The Peller, well, we've been talking for a long time, and Jack has been asking me and asking us together, hey, man, when are you going to do something for the Palace? When are you going to put a palace? And I said, well, we'll work on it. And now we have a couple of ideas that we're actually... because I've always loved doing the parlor, and the close-up room is a lot of fun, but for me, the parlor is the most fun because I get to do more bigger stuff, but also interact with people on a bigger scale. The Palace is for those that don't know, is the larger room. It's not huge,
right?
But for the castle, it's huge. It's 140, 160 seats or something like that, I think. I don't know. Anyway, so we love doing it. We love working together. We love working separately. Lindsay's also, like right now, since I was out of commission for a while, having another person to be able to cover the gigs that I couldn't, or just gig when I couldn't,
sure,
was phenomenal. Like we've got each other's backs. There's times that she's slower and I'm covering it up, picking up not picking up the slack, because it's not slack. It's always like it's an undulation, right? And we share each other's values and share each other's drive, and always have new ideas to say, like, let's go, where are we going next? We already know where we're planning on what we're doing for the next year and hopefully 2 to 5 years. So yeah, it's fun and challenging, but fun.
All right. Well, we've gone over, which I try to keep it to an hour on Facebook, but when we have a lot of great things to talk about, it happens. Which just means that I've got to bring you back and we got to talk more. We could probably do a full segment just discussing the invisible deck, really, which is something
Oh my
I'd
God.
like to
I
do at
would
some point.
get into a panel discussion about that because I have a, and I apologize to those watching who are curious about what I was going to say about the Fool Us thing. I will just say in one.
Well, wait, we can cover that was some. Yeah, I wanted you to. I forgot we didn't even go through that. We skipped right over it because you wanted to talk about the box.
I do it super condensed. I do
Okay.
it
Okay.
Magic lecture anyway. When I'm lecturing, in fact, this week I'm
Okay.
lecturing at the Chicago Magic Lounge on Sunday, which
Oh,
if you're
excellent.
in the, I think I don't know how it works there, but anyway, I cover this in my current lecture, but I'll give you the condensed version, which is there is something that has to happen, and I'm spoiling something for people, but I have to do something where the box that you see that becomes a bunch of panels. Later on in the routine, you open. I pick the box up and I open it, and you show that it's now there's something inside. It's actually a solid box again. And I do this live, and I do it. I did it in the close-up room for a while at the Castle. I've done it live in a bunch of different. I did it at the 654 Club last year, I think, or maybe the Castle. I don't remember. But there's a moment where when logically, even if people don't know how a trick works, in order for that to happen, I must have to switch the boxes, right?
Right.
Like, because it's not suddenly a box when it wasn't a box before. So it becomes a misdirection thing, right? I had to misdirect you to switch the box. Well, guess what? You can't misdirect a TV camera.
Right.
You can't because it's looking where it does not change focus. So what I did was I created a moment that allowed me to do the same sleight that I would do live and works like a card under glass or card on 400 or misdirection based kind of thing, but would still work for the camera. And what I did was I created a moment that looked like an accident. I dropped a piece behind the table, and you see the piece fall off the table in that video.
Okay.
I then, when I needed to do the switch, the secret move, I bent down behind. I stopped. I had the pieces in my hand. I stopped and I froze, and then I just paused for like 5 seconds to give the editors an edit point. I then bent down, did my secret sneaky stuff, came back up, came back to that exact same position, and froze for another 5 seconds, and then continued on. Or not, I guess I didn't freeze. I froze for a second, and then brought it, and then continued on from that moment. So that when you notice they cut away to Penn and Teller there, and they cut back to me as I'm putting the box down, that's because they needed an edit point to get rid of what looks like an accident. Now, if you watch it live, the moment still happens in the same place. It just happens quicker. But I knew that I wouldn't be able to get away with that on camera. So I did what I joke about. I say I fooled the editors. No, I didn't fool the editors. The editors knew what I was doing. They're just their focus is on making good TV. But that's things from working in television and film is knowing that it's not about doing camera tricks. I don't believe in or subscribe to doing that. But it is worthwhile knowing what you have and what you're being aware of your surroundings, right? Like if you're walking through a crowd and you're doing close up and you see a lady's purse wide open on her shoulder, take a playing card and drop it in there as you walk by, and then come back to them 10 minutes later and do a trick and make the card reappear in her purse, taking advantage of situations, right? So I took advantage. I planned on taking advantage of the situation, made that happen for Fool Us for this particular time, and that is my favorite moment in the entire routine. It's something that no one ever sees, no one knows about, but it makes me so happy because it was like I was able to take this moment and capitalize on something that can't exist outside of this framework of television.
Yeah, you want the cameras working with you, not against you.
Yeah, exactly, and that's not always the case. You have to be careful. There are other shows, especially magician TV shows, that are not necessarily so forgiving. So.
Yeah, that's why I have so much respect for Fool Us, because they will make the point of making the magician look good, of making the cameras work with you. Other shows will purposely work against you, thinking that this guy messing up will make for good TV if we make him look like a fool or if we reveal his secret. So, but knowing that ahead of time and knowing how to work with those guys, that's taking misdirection to a whole nother level.
Absolutely, could not agree.
Brilliant. Yeah, beautiful. All right, final question, because I want to know this, and then I'll let you go and enjoy Chicago. That is, what is your go-to? Let's say you're just walking through like Home Depot. Wait, I missed what you said.
Oh, sorry. I said Lindsay's
You,
out playing pinball somewhere. I have to go find her and
oh, I thought
so
she was like, back there just, watching all doughy-eyed of your
no, we got
watching you
well, we
on
have
screen.
other backs. We also know when we can handle our own stuff, and
Okay,
she loves pinball so much. So once we're done, I'm gonna probably go find where she is. So anyway, go on.
excellent. If you're walking through a Walmart or a Home Depot, someone goes, "Oh, hey, you're a magician. Can you show me something?" What is your go-to in that situation? What is your go-to trick?
There are a couple of things. It depends on. I don't always have something that I carry with me, right? Unless it's my wallet. I always have my wallet, and I always have a pen because I'm always going to write down an idea. So most of the time, my go-to would be something to do like a quick mind reading esque piece with a business card, have them write down a piece of information and do a little mind reading thing. I don't pretend to be a real mind reader, but I do stuff that is theatrically sound for my ethics that make me comfortable doing it. I'll usually do that. But if I have a coin on me, but coins are my preference. That's what I was beaming when Alex was talking about how much he loves coin stuff, because I'm a person after my own heart. I love coin things. I usually will do like a quick little flurry or something and have the coin reappear in their pocket or on their shoulder or something like that. Like that. Those are my impromptu things. Are usually one of those. I do the third of which I don't always do this, and I forget I have it a lot of times, as I do have wiki test. Since I have my phone with me, it's a great book test kind of thing, but with Wikipedia. I'd say those are the three. So
Cool, excellent. All right. Well, that made me think of one other question though. Are there moments that you are still pull off magic for Lindsay? Are there times that you'll do something that she didn't expect and freak her out?
yes, but not so much like necessarily with a piece of magic. I mean, sometimes it'll
Right.
use the principles of magic. Like I'll load something or hide something or do something for her in a way that she doesn't see it until she turns around. Usually, my favorite moments of magic for Lindsay are not even magic; they're jokes. Like I will have a stupid line or a joke that'll pop into my head. What was the one the other day? Neither of us are big sports people, but I
Did
was.
she laugh at the ladder joke?
It wasn't. I didn't. Oh, I told her the ladder joke before I went on stage. But no, the one the other day that neither of us are sports people, but I was just like, I thought it was funny, and so I said, "What was it?" I was literally like in my underwear at the computer in the next room, and she was in the bedroom. I was like, "This is funny." I got up, went to the to the bedroom, and I said the line, and then just turned around and walked out. And those are the ways. That's our relationship at the time. Like, and if I remember what it was, it wasn't a hilarious joke, but it was hilarious to me at the time. It was, if you're, it was a linebacker, running back. If you're defensive tackle, for Notre Dame. Hold on, where is it? Son of a bitch! I can't. No, I'm not gonna be able to remember now.
I'm loving the setup though.
Oh God, what was it?
We'll
There's
ask people to finish it in chat. All right. Anybody going to guess the punchline?
I got it. It was, if you're a defensive, religious God, son of a, no, don't let me get. Give me like 10 seconds. I promise I'll have it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. If you're a defensive tackle playing for Notre Dame, isn't every move you make sacrilegious? And I walked out. So yeah. Oh, that was the best. I couldn't think of any other religion, or like Notre Dame was the one that's the Catholic university, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That was the best. That was those are the moments that I like to surprise Lindsay with, are terrible jokes and magic that
Okay.
can't be seen anywhere else. So anyway, there.
Beautiful, especially if you're in your underwear. That makes
It's
it yeah.
Performing magic or jokes in your underwear is always the most. That's always the most effective for your.
That's rewarding, and that's something that only certain special people in your life get to experience.
Yeah, until she records and puts them online, but whatever, it's fine. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. Have a great time in Chicago. I know you're gonna love it. Tell Ben hello, and I hope to bring you back. And on behalf of the IBM, we thank you for being here. And this was wonderful. This was wonderful.
Thank
So
Yeah,
I'm sorry I don't get to see you up there.
we'll talk about Invisible Deck next time.
All right, beautiful, excellent. All right, everybody, say goodbye to Francis. We'll see you soon. All right. So that was Francis Menotti. I apologize that we've gone over time. I have been pretty good about sticking to my time, but sometimes I don't. With my ADD, it's a wonder how I've been able to start on time for the most part. And for the most part, we have. But this was a phenomenal show with two excellent guests. And I want to thank all of you guys for being here and experiencing this. Have a great Thanksgiving with your family. And remember to make it magical. If you have to pull coins or sponge balls or cards out of the turkey or a streamer, yeah, maybe just put a mouth coil in there, do it for the kids. Make your Thanksgiving magical. If you're watching on Twitch, don't go anywhere. Stick around. We're going to do something very unusual that we haven't done yet on the Not That Magic Mike channel. And we're going to give you a view of the gaming side of what I'm doing when I'm not involved in the magic world, because I love video games. We're going to play some Rocket League. We're going to try to find Alexander again, bring him back, some of my other friends. We're going to connect with Discord. So we'll take a quick break. I'm going to end the Facebook stream, but if you're watching on Twitch, or if you're not, go find us on Twitch. It's Not That Magic Mike, and that's how you find me on social media. Hashtag Not That Magic Mike, because I'm not that Magic Mike, but that's an easy way to find me. And thank you for those that have joined us on Twitch, especially Eccentric Chuck with that raid. I appreciate you bringing your viewers here. So stick around, and we're going to have some fun on there. But for now, this is Not That Magic Mike saying, make your Thanksgiving magical. All right, let's see. And we're ending it on these. We're just going to keep it going on Twitch. So I'm removing the other platforms. Remove.